Alrighty, for today's Orthodox Star Wars Day, I spent like a few minutes trying to wrestle this Y-Wing into position, and it is a lot of fun, and if you want to see that, let me know. It's going to be a boring video, but you know, you might like seeing the process of navigation. Maybe I'll throw it into this video after a little initial presentation. You know, we have this Y-Wing that we loaded here, because the way Space Engine works is you got a lot of add-ons you can download from the Steam Workshop, and typically I'm using it to download exoplanet updates. So, for example, if they have an updated, what the heck is it? Yeah, here we go, updated version of Proxima Centauri C. Apparently, this planet, which already has an enormous ring system, has been corrected to be more accurate in some way. And being that it is our nearest neighbor, it is not unreasonable to expect, you know, new updated data to be coming out from time to time. Now, a while back, I loaded this giant fleet. Well, I started this a while ago, and I loaded a new fleet. I assembled a nice fleet, as you can see here, but you can't see the orbital lines on many of these crafts. You can only see orbital lines on this. And where the heck did my medical frigate go? Oh, here it is. There's my medical frigate. And this one's actually a pretty cool model, because if we swing around to this, you can see a really neat movie Easter egg. And it doesn't actually look right unless you're kind of looking at it from over here. It's from that scene at the end of Empire Strikes Back. You can kind of see it. It looks like the room with the Bacta tank where Luke got his treatment before getting a prosthetic hand. But when you zoom in on it up close, you really can't recognize anything in here. It's like one of these weird, like, magic eye puzzles. There's also a number of other things on this ship that I noticed that jump out at me. But it's like once you fly into them, you can't see what you're looking at. So it's like really pointless to even try and decipher what you're looking at. But you can definitely see the scene from the movie over here. I mean, that's definitely what's going on here. Now, back in the background, you do see we have Home 1 loaded. And I think it would be nice to see its orbital parameters. So I'm going to try to, like, switch over to it right now. So now I have control of the ship. I can maneuver it. I can do all kinds of things. But all I really want to do is click reference body. And by clicking on the planet, now we actually have an orbit. Oh, and now it's aligning the ship's orientation to match the planet, which explains why all of my ships are out of whack. So last time I loaded this app, I had like a little issue with, you know, I was noticing that a lot of my ships were not aligned right, and they wouldn't obey me because I didn't realize that they lost their reference body at the time. So we're not going to click on each and every ship and fix the reference body, but you see how Home 1 aligned on one axis and these other guys here kind of pointing like downward like little dots? They're pretty much part of the old regime, and I don't think they're updating the orientation anymore, but typically when you have a ship, you know, linked to a planet, and it's, you know, maintaining a certain orientation with relation to the planet, it'll continuously rotate in order to maintain that attitude. And so that's what happened with the, you know, that's what these had going on with them up to a point. Now, I suspect they're either going to spin independently or not at all. I'm going to bet you if they're going to spin, well, one, they look like they're going down. And none of these things are, some of these things are synchronized in speed. So whenever you load a new ship, if you got to click on a ship, then load a new ship. And when you do that, the new ship will synchronize to the speed or orbital parameters of the ship you last loaded. And you can see that we got like this one here, we got this one here. They're all kind of moving together, these GR-75 transports. As you may remember from Empire Strikes Back, when, you know, they have those ugly ships on the ground and Luke's getting into his X-Wing and he's like, I'm going to Dagobah. And the guy announces on the intercom, the first transport is away. And everyone's like, yeah! You know, that scene from Empire Strikes Back. I named like a number of scenes in reverse order, but anywho, Home 1 is, as a matter of fact, Home 1 is upside down as well. I mean, not that there's really any upside down in space, but we're going to load something really exciting right now. We're going to load an Imperial Super Star Destroyer. So I'm going to fly out like that. Going to shuffle, give everything a little room. In fact, do we want any room? Maybe we don't want any room. Let's load it right under all of this crap. I hope it's going to be really dramatic. The only thing missing are the Venator Star Destroyers, but they're not a big deal right now. Because instead we have this one. What the fudge was that? I don't know if that's a realistic model, but it certainly is huge. Where's the Star Defender? Now I need to load the Star... Oh crap, I'm rotating. It's a lot of metal spinning around there. Okay, let's lock our rotation. Let's... I'm not orienting my orbit right now. I'm not touching that. I think I nearly took a... I think me rotating took a number of my... of enemy ships with me. Let's take a look here. Okay, so we got our snub fighter. That's pretty wild, though. We can actually do that. We can actually reenact, or at least have some of these things snake in between. Oops. Like all of that crap. That's pretty wild. Now, all of this crap, I don't even know what's over here. I don't know if it's accurate. Oh, crap. Sorry. I mean, I noticed that you're not going to get perfect lighting on this, but it definitely is replicating a ton of small features, including those turbo laser turrets. We do have the command tower up here. And the 2 infamous shield generators. You know, maybe they should put those on the inside of the ship or something, you know? Put them behind more armor next time, if they get it next time. If the first order counts. Also, it might be a good idea to not have your command bridge up here. You know, that's why the A-Wing had no problem taking out the command crew. I mean, like, even if they just had the good sense to stick it in the middle of this neck piece here, that would be 1,000 times better than putting a command bridge up there. Is that like a shuttle bay? I could picture a commander going into the shuttle bay, not interacting with any of the people down here. Now, the bottom looks unusually red. I'm going to just guess that's like, oh, I see. Well, oh, yeah, actually, it's not unusual. It's actually correct. Oh, yeah, that's beautiful. That is beautiful right there. Yeah, that's a Super Star Destroyer. Now I see the resemblance. It just doesn't look right up close, but that is correct. That is beautiful. And let's take a look at its orbit. We're going to mess around with its orbital parameters right now. So to do that, we're going to have to, number one, let's turn on orbits again so we can see. We have a couple of ship orbits crossing the Star Destroyer, and that medical frigate's just going to hit it at some point. He's on his way. He's just going to collide, so that's going to happen. In fact, I think everything's going to collide with this eventually, so we better get this ship out of the way, huh? Now, funny thing is that we're not going to get him out of the way we think. We could move him horizontally, so to speak. But how is that going to impact our orbit? Let's take a look. We need to take control. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is rotate a little bit. And I have rotation lock on, so it stops rotating automatically. Or I can let it drift if I want to. Now from here, before I change my speed, I better get a good look at my current orbital parameters. And, well, you can see of the ships that we... Oh, I've never seen it do that before. It's freaking wild. Look at that. Thing's like pointing on a weird angle and it's just like popping out. But, okay. Just pretty much... I want to get a closer look at these other ships, but you can see we have like 2 or 3 other ships selected. The green lines represent other planets in this system, so they're irrelevant right now. But most of these ships are on the same orbital path as Home 1, and they're all moving actually along these purple. I believe they're going in that direction or the opposite direction. And we can actually do a little experiment. We can hit fast forward and we can see what happens here. And you can see everything is basically synchronizing is synchronized at speed. There are speed differences. You can see here how our little rebel fleet is doing its thing over here. So now we got to talk about what can I do to influence our orbit now that we've seen like what a time lapse does. And do we want to do this on the night side of the planet? Well, at this point, I don't think it makes a difference. So let's just roll. Okay, so first things first, what is a prograde orbit? Well, we're going to click on a button and see what prograde does when we do it. Okay, so doing this, now that we're facing this direction, this is indeed our direction of travel, whereas retrograde would be like pointing backwards. And what this means is that when I apply my engine thrust, I'm going to be moving forward or up on this screen, but really we're going to just be changing the shape of this orbit. And you're going to see the circular orbit that I'm already following get larger than the purple line. So the rest of the ships are on this orbital parameter. And you know, so if I want like to take an X-wing fighter and fly towards something or vice versa, this has to be taken into account. It means that on the next orbit, I'm going to have a period of time where I can't touch these rebel ships. Or perhaps I could. Perhaps I could fire my turbo lasers at them from this far away. And one thing I find interesting about this orbit is it looks like we're basically still going to rendezvous in the same place during our orbit. So he's moving away at this speed. And what's going to happen now is his orbit is going to diverge from the rest of their orbits. But at that little point in their orbit, they do rejoin. So that could have some interesting implications. Now, you could make this circle pretty big, but once this circle gets too big, you end up achieving escape velocity, which would mean I'm no longer in the orbit of this planet. And re-entering the, a nice clean orbit could be tricky at times. So we're going to leave it alone for now, but already you can see the Star Destroyer is like leaving the rest of the fleet behind. If we go back into, pause. I want to get like back behind the Star Destroyer. I'm going so fast I couldn't even do it if I tried. Yeah, there we go. So there's like something from our fleet earlier. And that's how fast we're flying away from them right now. And if we wanted to chase this Star Destroyer down, we have to worry about all of that crap like orbit. So real pain in the butt. So I think just to end this, because, I got to go to bed soon anyway. We're going to take this ship somewhere to, where do we want to go? You know what? Did I restart the app since downloading the new plugin? Well, let's try it out. We're going to go to Proxima Centauri B. So to do that, we got to do what? We got to do Proxima Centauri B. Now, in order to take me at warp speed, which I know this is a Star Wars ship, it should have hyperdrive, but in Space Engine, we're using a generic method of warp drive, and I think for all intents and purposes, it's similar to hyperdrive. It's just more like we're making a jump. There is a transitory period in between, and then, of course, your final approach. To enter warp speed, we got to basically have this number and this other number match up. So this is a situation where I tend to hit fast forward. Oh, that's crazy. I think it's trying to match the orbit of, it's trying to do something. It's trying to escape from this planet's orbit and do something to match up with the speed it would orbit the other planet. So this is what you'd have to do if you did not have autopilot. So now the Star Destroyer, oh god, there it is doing the warp drive thing now. Is it? No, it's not doing it yet. It's got to make another correction. Okay, so now it's going to do the, yep, there we go. Now it's going at warp speed. Which is a cool effect. And we're leaving Tau Ceti, which is 12 light years away. And we're approaching Proxima Centauri, which is about 4.25 or 4.5 light years away from our own. Oh, that's cool. What are those lights for? That was cool. Oh, I see. It ignited the thrusters because in autopilot, it's going to use the main engines, which can get a lot of acceleration and deceleration. Did it just do a correction? I've never seen it do that before. And we just entered night side orbit of Proxima Centauri. Are we in orbit? We probably are not. We are presently in an unstable orbit, which is a great opportunity to see how we can work with this. And I think we can probably do maybe we'll do a retrograde burn first. And these numbers represent the direction that the Star Destroyer is rotating or pivoting. Then we're going to engage our engines on max thrust, and hopefully it's going to reshape our orbit so that we can fall into orbit of this planet. Okay, so the engines are burning in a reverse direction, but we are still slingshotting past this planet. Now you gotta be careful when you fast forward time in this game. You might go too fast. Oh yeah, we're burning our engines hard and we're still, see that? Look at it starting to bend the orbit a little bit. We're trying to get captured by the planet's orbit, by the planet's gravity. Oh god, I gotta, okay, that was close. So I paused time so that I could lower my engine speed, because we're putting way too much engine deceleration. We're actually slowing down, but when you slow down when you're in orbit, see now, and we're on a ballistic trajectory. So if we keep doing this, we're not going to be in a healthy orbit. Like right here, like we're literally in a ballistic trajectory right now. This is actually like the Katy Perry space flight. I'm trying to get that circle to shrink, but not too much. Now, the space flight with Katy Perry, the all-women space flight, commercial space flight, that happened on the Blue Origin rocket. What was it called? NX something? I forgot. NX5? I don't know. I'm making up numbers now. But it had a cute little mission designation number, alphanumeric designation. So as you see, that was very boring. We're not even there yet, but hold on. We gotta... But right now, yeah, so right now, just as it is right this moment, the Superstar Destroyer is flying forward, even though it's facing this way, it's actually moving backwards, it's moving backwards with relation to the pointy bit. And it is currently in space. The people on the ship, if they didn't have artificial gravity, would feel no gravity, right? They'd be floating around. They would be in free fall. But eventually, it's going to keep going. It's going to move around this little loop here, and it's going to hit the ground. But luckily, we have a lot of time. It takes time for this to complete this entire course. Whereas Katy Perry was like in the atmosphere of the planet. She was like doing the same thing, but like down here like that. So much easier for us to kind of maintain orbit if we want. But the trick is, the problem is I'm not going to get orbit if I don't change the shape of the orbit. If I simply add speed in one direction or the other, I don't see anything happening. So I'm going to try clicking normal up. And that's what I did with my other ships before to kind of get it to semi-automatically go into an orbit that I like. And if we go back here now, when I apply thrust, it's going to do something different. One, the shape of the orbit is going to change. You can see how like the wishbone is rotating. If you can say how orbit is shaped like a wishbone, it's rotating. What I really should be doing is finding a way to move this green line down here. I think it is moving. It's doing something interesting, but it's doing a lot of spinny stuff to get it. Oh yeah, look at that. The orbit is changing. See the green lines are separating, I think? I'm honestly not sure. So we're going to try radial. We're going to click radial, and that's going to reorient our ship again. Oh yeah, there we go. Now we got something. And there we go. Now we have something of a stable orbit. I did that with a lot of autopilot because I knew better than to try to, point it in random directions. But that is orbit. So we have successfully placed our Superstar Destroyer in orbit of Proxima Centauri B. And I think we should take a look. We should take a quick look at Proxima Centauri G. I don't know if this is the updated one, but I just updated it. I may not have loaded it yet. That does look more up to date. Let's take a look at it. Hope my ship doesn't go to Proxima Centauri G. So this one's a mini Jupiter. It's got this enormous ring system. It's like on the outer fringes of the Proxima Centauri system. So not the brightest or largest star, but the rings do cast a shadow on any side of the planet that are behind the ring. So all of these little shadows come up here. And we don't really know what the planet looks like per se, but we get like a light curve from it. And it's enough information to know that apparently there's a ring system most likely there. And that we got a lot of water, helium, NH3, H2O, and Ne, whatever Ne is. Neon? I think it might be neon. Don't quote me on that. Look up all of those chemical names or periodic table symbols if you want to be sure. They're all listed right here where it says atmospheric composition. It has 1.2 Gs of gravity, despite having 5 times the mass of our planet. But if it's a gas giant, you're not really going to be, there's nowhere to stand. However, if you could have a balloon on this planet, a floating habitat, it does seem it would be quite survivable. So that's kind of cool. And if you have your own air supply. Oh, but you have to be at a higher altitude. At low altitude, a planet like this has 9 times the atmospheric pressure of Earth. But it stands to be reasoned that if you're at a higher altitude, you'll be subject to less pressure. So that might make it a place that could theoretically be habitable. But I mean, unless you're harnessing wind energy, I don't see anyone finding this hospitable. I mean, like, it's going to be the darkest corner of an already dark star. The remaining stars in the Proxima system include one that's like pretty nice. And apparently we have a glitch here because I think it's listing some of the planets as moons. I'll have to investigate that. But anyway, this concludes our presentation on ships from Star Wars, as I'm now going to get sidetracked before I go to bed and look at the Proxima system. It's pretty interesting what we had on the Monday show on Thursday, where we kind of like delved into the orbital mechanics a little bit more. Kind of rushed through it a bit because I had to eat dinner, but it was still pretty interesting, like just to kind of see like all of the orbits together, so at least we documented that before losing the saved data so that I don't, because otherwise to turn the orbits on, I got to click on each ship one at a time. So yeah, that's basically it. Anyway, this concludes the brief presentation on, ships in Star Wars. If you want, check out my most recent Monday show on Thursday, where we did a little bit more flying around and exploring the fleet. We didn't dive too deeply, but we did some exploration, so you might find that interesting. And with that being said, if you have any questions, comments, ideas, or concerns, please leave a comment. And for now, we shall end transmission.